Welcome to Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds. I'm Nerdarchist Ted, and today I'm joined by...
Nerdarchist Dave.
All right, today we got part GM 911, part MageForge, with Clerical Confusion. Jump down the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy, the newsletter, get weekly gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with us.
We have the GM 911, and Devin has some questions. So basically, he's got a ranger and a cleric in his game. They're both divine casters. They had two different deities, and kind of like on a lark, he threw a magic item in there, a holy symbol that would enhance healing, but it was for the deity that the ranger worshipped, not the cleric. But the cleric's been worshiping it and using this holy symbol for their focus.
So it kind of, it's like, well, what do you do as the DM when a player's like, can I switch over to this god because I'm using this holy symbol because it makes my healing better, and that's what I do.
So there's like a lot to unpack here. I feel like, so first of all, I would not allow that player to use that holy symbol. Here's the thing. You're using a holy symbol for a focus in the game. You buy the holy symbol to the deity that you worship. It's not a generic thing.
Right.
It's not just like everyone is going to pick, they're the individual religions and they have their own holy symbols. You have to use that one.
And it's like there is a matter of, belief to what it is. And without that belief and that power, it's not going to function the way it's supposed to. It reminds me of the Mummy. And I think Benny or whatever his name was, who's got all the different holy symbols.
And none of them are working.
And none of them are working until he invokes the language that the Mummy actually remembers.
And it's not even that the holy symbol worked. He just remember the language.
Yes.
Well, and that being said as well, even if you look at vampire flicks, right? Old vampire flicks, and someone presents the crucifix. Well, if they don't present it with conviction, then it never works. Mm-hmm. Right? And that's like part of it. So you're acting as a divine conduit for your deity, for their power to flow through you and out that holy symbol, in essence.
Right. The first piece to unpack is that you shouldn't be able to use a magic holy symbol or any holy symbol that's not of a deity that you worship and believe. Second piece of the puzzle is this character, like the character, not necessarily the player, deciding something's happening in game and I want to switch over to this deity. Number one, the entire party worshiping one religion, to me, that's a no-brainer. I'm all for it, but how do you go and make it happen?
Well, that part isn't really that hard. I mean, especially if one of the characters happen to be religious and they kind of prophetize to the rest of them and convert them. Easy enough. But the other thing is, like, he wants to make a change because of a mechanical thing that happened in the game, and it should have happened the other way around. Like, there should have been some role playing. There should be a reason for your character to switch, other than I found this holy symbol, and I don't feel like they should have been able to use it anyway. But that aside, like, you would need stronger reason for switching your faith, I would think, or maybe it wasn't that strong to begin with. Like, I can't imagine that the character who goes, "Oh, this Selune holy symbol is so much prettier than mine. I'm out." Like, and that's the guy that the deity wanted to, imbue with their holy might.
Well, like, we don't always know why the gods choose us, for, what we do when it comes to playing.
And in that case, the god is like, "Oh, why did I choose them? They didn't even know why they chose them."
It's like WAKEEM or something along those lines is what the player initially had chosen. And we don't know why the gods choose who they choose for their clerics. But once you start playing, and yeah, the player's being prompted by a mechanical choice rather than a roleplay choice. And I'm not happy and thrilled about that, but can you turn that around and have this be
dress it up a little bit? Yeah, can you roleplay that?
Can we find something that goes on? Well, perhaps, since this holy symbol has been found, well, perhaps there's been some doubt. It's a life cleric. If both of these deities are on the life spectrum, is there contention in the divine, in the heavens, and is there something going on? Is the primary deity's strength weakening while Selune's is gaining? You know,
Technically, if you go by the time of troubles, that I don't know if that's been reset or whatever in Forgotten Realms, but that was kind of what that was all about. Like, if you're going to value your followers now because your strength will be solely based upon how many followers you have. So that would kind of be like if your follower goes from you to another deity, you've strengthened that deity and weakened yours in essence.
has Selune or one of their agents approached these characters and offered them up a quest, and perhaps that has inspired this cleric to say, well, you know, I've actually got more of a divine presence with Selune, and almost to like a warlock thing. It's like, what can you do for me? Nudge, nudge, and it's a conduit. Like doesn't require training. You can turn the deities can turn these things on and off like a spigot. So yeah, you want to be a cleric? There you go. Oh, you're not following me anymore? Okay, turn it off. Yeah, that's going to affect what they do because of their divine influence, but it's there. As a aside to that, in the game that we played with Scott, he actually had a cleric serving two different deities. Now, in that case, he wound up having two domains for a short amount of time.
No, that's not really what happened. You're misremembering. Because what happened was he served Thor, and something happened in the campaign to awaken, I think, Thor to that world, and because he was serving him, but he was a dwarf, and at the same time, he had a connection to Morden, and then like both deities reached out to him, and what Scott had decided was that was way too much divine attention for any one mortal to withstand. And he's like, you have to make this roll, and you needed like a 4 or better. And if you succeed, you're going to actually be a cleric for both deities and receive all the powers of both of them. He rolled a 3 and was turned into a statue instead, because that was the other outcome. And he was given the choice. You can attempt this, or you can choose one or the other.
Right.
And he's like, oh yeah, I want to try this. I only need a 4. Bam! He's a statue. And a church was erected around that statue. But yeah, so like, when you add these things, it kind of changes things. Now, I would also say, like, well, did the cleric fall in love with the ranger or something and then decide to devote themselves to the same deity? You could do things like that. To circumvent the whole problem of mechanics, I would actually have allowed them to do some kind of ritual, or embark on the journey to learn how to do this ritual to convert the holy symbol to theirs, or pervert it, as the case may be, and then they would be able to use it for their deity. Or we were talking about what about making a holy symbol that was kind of mutable to whatever deity it is that you worship. Maybe when you attune to it, when a cleric attunes to the holy symbol, it changes its form so that it is the holy symbol of that deity.
And that's a nice, easy way to go, especially if you're playing a game where there could be some flux, and you want to put in a reward. All right, well, you've got it on the evil cleric that they're going to fight. Okay, evil holy symbol. Well, that's it's nerds to you guys. It's you're just gonna have to chuck it. But on the plus side, or on the other side, you could turn that as to be mutable. So it's when it's not attached to somebody, it's just a disc, and it doesn't have any kind of holy markers or holy symbols on it. But when you identify it, you realize that it's power on a blank slate.
Yeah, and a lot of pantheons are interconnected anyway, so it's not really a far stretch to think that something like this might exist. Maybe it was a time when all the religions got along better, and the various priests came together and blessed it together so that it could be used that way. It could even be aligned, like it could be mutable to any good cleric that attunes to it and takes on the form of of their holy symbol, something along that. It could be even more specific, a specific alignment, or it could go the other way. Dark deities, like, we don't want this power to fall in the good hands. Evil deities don't, or good, don't want this to fall into the vice versa. So you could do it that way as well.
What would we want to give to this mutable holy symbol?
You have to determine what is it going to help you do. Is it, is it a conduit for radiant energy, doing more damage whenever a spell has radiant? Could it also be for healing if you wanted to do? It could empower your channel divinities if you wanted to, whether it gave one extra or increase the DC.
If you're doing something that is, all divine, I don't think going with a particular energy type. I wouldn't want to go to, specifics. I would, because if it's going to be for all alignments and thus all religions, it should be something that would be a broad spectrum. So enhancing channel divinity, I think, would actually be a decent idea, but they're kind of all over the board. So you'd have to figure out wording on all of them to try and crux something in there.
Right, unless you do something like you get one more. Or you could always look at the War Wand, War Wizard Wand, and there's a couple other things. The Oathkeeper, what is it, Rod or something like that. I think I have the words there, but all mixed up. But
The Rod of the Pact Keeper?
Yeah, where they give you a bonus to attack and increase the DC.
Yeah, I think that would be a pretty decent thing. Now some clerics are not really into the attacking thing, but if it meant spell attacks and melee attacks, all things, then I think that would definitely serve. Increased DCs is always a good thing. An extra channel divinity is never going to go amiss because they're broad spectrum with what they can do, because you have the base cleric and then whatever you get for your domains.
So that's a mutable holy symbol. One extra channel divinity, and a +1 to 3 spell attacks, and a +1 to 3 on the DCs. Bam, done.
There you go.
Requires attunement. Tuning it actually attunes it to your deity as well,
and it visibly manifests the holy symbol that you believe in.
Perfect. So the question is, would you use that in your game? Do you think we answered Devin's questions? Do you think that's going to help? We have a place where we can discuss and talk about this, and also maybe have your own ideas. It's down in the comments below. While you're at it, like, share, and subscribe.
You can support us over on Patreon.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.